Hey, welcome back to Friends in Austin. Today I have Shea Henning on the podcast. And Shea, I met you through a friend of a friend years ago, and I always knew that you were into entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But we never really talked that much. But since then, I know that you have a company. Well, you have a company called ATX Record Players. And then after that, I know that you are, is it fair to say that like you're somewhat doing business with Jesse James?
Yeah. We have a business called the Craftsman Exchange, which is just, getting going right now. So it's pretty exciting.
We're gonna dig more into that because I know that Jesse James and the people that were just kind of like those shows like Monster Garage and stuff like that, you were very much inspired by those as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you very well knew of Jesse James, and for you to be kind of working with him now and having sold him a record player is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, when I was a kid, I wasn't worshiping Michael Jordan or, Brett Favre because I'm from Wisconsin. I didn't really care about any of that. I watched Monster Garage. When I saw Motorcycle Mania come out, it was like the lightning bolt hit me, and I was like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and that's where I want to go with my life. And so, through all the, the path, it finally aligned somehow. So,
well, let's go back. So, like, you got into building stuff, really. I mean,
yeah.
And what were you doing before all this stuff happened? Like you were inspired by all that stuff early on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, you ended up working a corporate job though.
Yeah. I mean, way back, obviously I saw Jesse's TV show and I was inspired. So then, I started building stuff in my garage, putting weed eater engines on scooters and go-karts and whatever I could get my hands on. And then, I hated school. I despised school. And so they had this school to work program where I could get out of school half day and go to work.
I did that too. We called it co-op.
Yeah. And I was like, hell yeah, whatever I can do to get out of this shit. So then I got a job at a body shop, and, the body shop, obviously they don't let you do anything because you're just an idiot 16-year-old. So they just like, hey, sweep the floor, take the garbage out. And I was like, oh, God. So I did it. And then, I started realizing while I was taking out the garbage that, like, there was cracked headlights in there, a little bit of damage, and, a grill here and there that had a little bit of damage. So I would take that out of the garbage, put it in my car, take it home, fix it, and sell it on eBay. And, it was 100% profit selling used parts on eBay. So every day they'd be like, take out the garbage. I'd be like, okay.
Also right for
I love it. Yeah. Like, what do we got today? Like, ooh, because the insurance company, if there's a little scratch on it, the insurance company buys a new headlight. So, but some guy on eBay that just hit a deer with his car, he'll buy a scratched headlight if it saves him $100. So I just learned how to start selling on eBay and stuff. And if I could do it all over again, I would have just went straight into that, quit school, and just started selling, on eBay or something. But
dude, I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I just always wish I would have started everything earlier. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And instead of really, like, I don't know, spending more time at school. Although I didn't spend that much time, I did quit. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's kind of always like, you find your path, and then like the collective consciousness is like, no, you can't do that. You got to go do school, and you got to go do the stuff you're supposed to do, and it's like, oh man, in retrospect, I should have just quit it all and just followed my intuition from the beginning. And I think that's huge. Anybody that wants to be an entrepreneur, live their dream life, as soon as you get your that lightning bolt of inspiration, or what do you want to go for? If I had kids, I'd be telling them, just follow that, but anyway, yeah, I did that, and I started dealing in some used parts. And then, I went to school for custom upholstery, and I started, working at a body shop full time. Finally worked my way up in the body shop so I could actually paint stuff and work on, cars actually. And then, but then I started an upholstery business where I was finally in my parents' basement, where I was finally, able to do whatever I wanted and create, beautiful interiors in cars, and that was really what I wanted to do the whole time. But then again, I realized I was in Brandon, Wisconsin, with a village of 800 people, and you got to get to where things are happening.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I can relate to that. I grew up in a town not as small as yours, but a town of 4,000. But yeah, and then Indiana, so I know what it's like to grow up in like a small town.
Yeah, and if you realize, you're not gonna.
There's only so far there's only so much you can do, really. I mean, you got to get to where people are doing things.
Yeah, and I've realized that, and California just didn't. Well, then my only way I could think of to get out of there was to join the military. So I joined the military, which, like I said, if I could do it all over again, I probably could find a better path than doing the military. But it was my best decision at the time. So, and it was great. So,
yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'd say that like it could be more valuable than going to school.
Yeah,
can be.
Well, it saved me. I got the GI Bill and all the benefits, and saved me from a lot of traps, debt traps that people get into with school now. Student loans is a scam, debt, slavery. Colleges are just out of control right now. So
it is out of control.
Yeah.
So I said college was a scam on the podcast once before. And I've asked different people their opinions on college. Like, for example, I asked Phil Snodgrass her opinion on college, and I think she had a really good opinion on it. I don't know that it's a total scam. I guess it depends on what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you have if you really know that you want to do something specific and you stick with it, you do it, and like how much you're likely to get paid when you get out.
Yeah.
Which that's the problem though. Most people don't know how much they're likely to get paid. They don't know how likely they are to even get a job.
Yeah.
And they don't really even know what job they want.
Yeah.
And then also how can it cost so much too? How could it possibly cost so much to go to school for 4 years?
Yeah. I mean, the reason is because the government subsidizes it, and anything the government subsidizes, the prices go up, and it turns into a complete shit show. And we never seem to learn this. No matter what happens, the government starts subsidizing something, it takes away, it makes it more expensive, and the quality goes down, and it turns into just, corruption.
Mm-hmm.
That's.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Not everyone believes that, but I mean, I think that, it's hard to deny that, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just going to create inefficiency, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it has the best intentions, like, oh, we're going to help the people that, that need it. But time and time again, the same thing, it doesn't do what it's intended to do. And, college had its place in the world, but now it's just an indoctrination camp.
Another thing is it just shouldn't cost so much. I mean, I feel like you can put stuff on the internet, most courses could go up online, and they could be tweaked and modified over time to fit, new information. But how could that possibly cost so much?
Yeah. I mean, the shit they teach is so old. It's not even useful for anything. Like the information you get is useless. The only thing I really learned in college that was useful was they forced me to learn Microsoft Excel. And that was like the greatest thing ever. Like I thank them for that, but like you said, I could have learned that online for $20 maybe. Or
Lynda.com.
Free.
Yeah, which is now LinkedIn Learning because they bought Lynda.com. I don't know if you ever used Lynda, but it's actually really good. When I first started learning to code, I didn't go to school for it or anything like that. The first place I went was a site called Lynda.com. LinkedIn bought them and they turned it into LinkedIn Learning within the past 3 or 4 years. But I mean, it was just people putting up, a guy would be like, I've been writing code in Ruby for 10 years and I make web applications. And then he would make a course and Lynda would pay him royalties, and there'd be a guy that would do an Excel course, basically finding experts in different things. And it was very tech focused at first, and probably still is, but I'm sure you can even learn like marketing and stuff like that on there now.
Yeah.
But it was literally $20 a month. And, and that's what I used, that and other random Google searches and just trial and error essentially to like learn to code and then get a job.
Yeah.
And $20 a month.
The only thing I can say useful is like, holy shit, I just literally did a deal with the devil. So my life is, I just mortgaged my life. So I better learn this information.
Yeah, that's true. It is like mortgaging your life.
Yeah, it's like I have to learn this information. Otherwise, I'm fucked forever. So that's one good thing. Put yourself into a horrible situation just so you have to do it.
Yeah. That's funny. It reminds me of when there's a couple entrepreneurs I've had on, and one of them, Lucas Gilkey, the founder of Hometown Heroes, said that if you have a good plan B, then your plan A is probably going to fail.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
I agree. Yeah. Well, I mean, fast forward through my story. I mean, where was I? College? Yeah. Military college.
Hold on. I saw that you got on the news. I was going to talk about this later. The military thing helped you get on the news.
Yeah. Well, actually, and my college helped me get on the news, I mean, my college, the military paid for all my schooling. And they paid me to go to school. So I was like, fuck, I can't pass that up.
See,
even though the time it wasted, I think, but I couldn't pass it up, so I did go to college and get an MBA. But
so you're shitting on college, but I did go to college and I got an MBA.
Yeah, so I mean, but if I would have had to pay for that shit, I would be pissed at myself,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the military and they're paying for it, I mean, it's hard to argue not at least getting a bachelor's,
Yeah.
And then after you get a bachelor's, it's only 30 more credits or something to get a master's.
Yeah.
So why not?
I got an MBA and I was like, oh yeah, I'm finally going to be hot shit. I'll be able to get a better job and sending out resumes and no one gave a shit. I was like,
no one gave a fuck.
I was like, God damn it. So then, but the military, the education, it did get me into this. I got into a hedge fund and I was like, dude, I'm just some kid from the middle of nowhere and I'm working at a hedge fund. Like this, these guys are way too smart. Like I'm an imposter here. Like I had imposter syndrome but it made me feel good. Like, oh shit, I'm smart. I'm at a hedge fund, and
what the hell do those guys do anyway? I mean, I know what a hedge fund is, but they just talk to people and make deals and.
Our hedge fund here was we bought up life insurance policies from old people, and then when they died, we cashed them in and collected the money. So, yeah,
that's a little odd.
Yeah, so
it's kind of fucked up.
I mean, it's completely legal. I mean, your life insurance policy is an asset like anything else. So
they want the money now.
Yep. Yeah, but we provide liquidity for people that need money. They can sell their life insurance policy, and then we put it into a fund. Investors buy into the fund, and it's all statistical. They know when they're supposed to die, at what time, and the whole fund is based on that mathematics of when people are supposed to die. So it gets kind of
holy shit.
Creepy.
And, that is creepy.
And it's super interesting too, but.
So I guess these people want to sell their life insurance because one, I mean, life insurance really, it benefits your family, not you.
Yeah. You can cash in on something you're not even going to get to use.
Yeah, exactly. and it may be that many of their family members have passed away or whatever. They might not really have, I don't know, anyone close that they want to give their money to. So yeah, they cash it in and they take the money.
Yeah. They take the money off your own policy, and sometimes I don't think they tell their family that they do that, but it's their property. So
yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, and then I got into that world, but man, I didn't fit in. These guys are all the interns. I got an internship first, and the interns, they were going to Goldman Sachs, and they were going to all these fancy, financial, PwC or the Big Four, and I'm like, dude, I am not finance, this uptight corporate culture. I'm like, this is soul sucking. I cannot. I thought I made it, and then I was like, oh, I just don't fit in here. I don't, and I was just sitting in a cubicle all day, and I'm just Excel spreadsheets, and I'm not a huge math guy. I mean, I can do it, but I'm not, a quantitative guy.
Yeah.
So I got myself in the wrong industry, and I asked myself, why did I get myself into something I hated, And you do some real soul searching, and you're like, well, it's because I wanted to prove I was smart enough to get into a prestigious thing.
Mhm.
So that's what I really had found out about myself was, why am I coming from a place of lack, trying to prove who I am? And it's always going to be there, your character defects or whatever. But
well, you're not the only person for that to happen to.
yeah, it's part of being a human,
And it's also part of our society in college and what we're talking about and what people expect people to do. Like there's a standard career trajectory or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. And you get on that path and you figure out you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. And then I started, my friends started getting turntables. I was like, oh, those cheap pieces of shit Crosley things from Walmart or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, vinyl's kind of coming back. And I was like, I want one of those big wood things.
And so you're in Austin now. You've been in, like, at this time that we're talking about, you've been in Austin for how many years roughly? Like
6.
At the time that you are.
Oh no, probably 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
This is probably 6 years ago. So yeah, I probably was in Austin like 2 years. Then I bought my first record console off Craigslist, and then I didn't think anything of it. I just got one. I thought it was cool, and then I was like, man, this turntable just it's like broken. It doesn't quite work right. I probably can just put a different turntable in this. So I put a new turntable in it, new speakers, and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool now. It works. It looks cool. And then I was like, well, maybe I could sell this on Etsy. So I put it on Etsy, just as whatever. And boom, the next day it sold, and I made $500. And I was like,
how much did you buy it for?
Probably $100.
$100. Yeah.
So, and I sold it for like 600, and I made $500. And I had to drive it all the way to Houston to deliver it. And I was like, oh well, that's $500. At that time I was like,
and you didn't have to use an Excel spreadsheet to get it. Yeah.
And so I just kept doing it in my living room over and over and over again. And then I got a new job. I was a financial analyst at a different company.
So you continued to work full time. You'd sold your first one, but you didn't really. Did you know right then that you're going to do more of them?
No, it was just
a
hobby. I didn't even know entrepreneurial intentions behind it. And I got a new job, worked as a financial analyst at an electronic parts company here and helping the CFO. But then, it really got me to understand how a bigger corporation functions. And I got to open the curtain behind. I really wanted to learn business. So I'm really happy for the jobs, like the hedge fund. I say it's like soul sucking and all that shit, but hey, it taught me a lot, and I fully appreciate it. If those my bosses are listening, I do appreciate it. And it was a great experience to be a part of that and see how it worked. So and then this next job, it wasn't fun either, but it taught me so much so fast and exactly what I needed to know. And it makes my entrepreneurial business easier, since I've been able to see how a big company runs and then go down to a smaller company like mine. So it's just easier, or just understand it better than someone that just jumps in entrepreneurship and doesn't have any business background. So.
Yeah. So what we were talking about earlier is like, there's people you could jump in right after high school, let's say, to trying to make your own company, or you could go to college, get a job in the, in the business world. And then, I think there's pros and cons on both sides. The pros to just jumping right in is like, you get to learn really hard lessons really fast, but also you're probably going to be fairly immature and you're not going to really know much.
Yep.
Whereas if you go into, let's say, corporate world or whatever, you do get an idea of what it's like. You work at a company that's actually hopefully profitable, and so you're around people that are smart, and you can see how they do their thing.
That's actually when in retrospect, I do think about that dilemma of, do you go hard early and learn the hard way, or do you take the problem is you don't want to get sucked into the matrix if you take the job route, and then the golden handcuffs start ratcheting the family,
Exactly.
the house, the
Mhm.
car payment, and
Mhm.
then slowly the golden handcuffs start clicking, and then
Mhm.
you're like, before you know it, you're talking about, but my pension, my pension, and then you're done.
And then you're done.
Yeah, there's no,
But then the other side is, if you don't have a college education or any professional experience backing you, and you don't have any money, you have to go and try to build a company with no money, which people do it if you're good and you get an investor. If like you make something good and you get an investor or whatever, or you just start selling something for cheap and you start working your way up. But if you fall on your face, you can't really go get a corporate job. Well, you maybe can, but not as easy as somebody who went and got their degree.
If I could do it all over again, I would have, like I said, fucking selling. Like the keys to the universe is selling. That's my whole thing now, is just start fucking selling something, whatever it is. Like if it's, Pokemon cards or whatever, like it's the learning of the selling. Even when I was getting my MBA, I was dealing on Craigslist, just learning selling. And then one day I posted a record player on Craigslist, and a kid from my MBA class saw that record player on Craigslist, called me, and he showed up, and I was like, dude, aren't you from my MBA class? He's like, oh yeah. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, hey, I want to buy a record player. And I was like, see, the selling on the Craigslist is more valuable than the MBA. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I learned. I cut my teeth on Craigslist, man. Just selling. And then I was like, fuck, Craigslist, it just attracts people looking for cheap deals. I need a better branded exchange to sell on. So I went to Etsy, and it's got a little bit better clientele,
People are looking for art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a little bit better, than Craigslist or eBay. And so yeah, it just working that corporate job, financial analyst, finally, I had a condo that I bought getting out of the military, and the first thing, I just paid down that mortgage as fast as I could and got debt free and escaped anything financially, and put myself in a position where I had enough runway. Like I was Airbnb one room, so I had basically passive income and as soon as I had enough passive income and no debt, I had enough runway to go forever. I could just I could keep failing over and over and over again because, and I had no risk. I didn't have to make money to pay for my overhead. I lived like a bum. I mean, if you knew me 5 years ago, I was the cheapest guy ever. You couldn't get me to spend money on anything. A very scarcity mindset. Of which I had to discover in myself and slowly and realize that money is abundant they're printing trillions of dollars a day. Like money's so, maybe not trillion a day, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so abundant. All you got to do is just, figure out how to become valuable, how to produce something valuable. And it's hard, it is hard to get going, like anything, but that's the fun of it.
For sure. It's hard and it's scary. Well,
It's
and most
scary,
people just don't think that they could ever even do it.
Yes.
I like what you're saying about focusing on like just selling something, because
Yeah.
then that makes you realize that, look, everybody's got money. Your neighbor, the people down the street, everybody's buying shit all the time.
Yeah.
So if you just need to get some small fraction
Yes.
of those people to buy your stuff.
Get those early wins of go buy it. Like me, I have fucking an antique off Craigslist, take a little oil, wipe it up, take a really nice picture, repost it on Craigslist, and you can make $100 a week easily doing that with your spare time. And then it just builds. Keep the money that your profit and just keep buying more. Like it's just, to me, it's just, now that I've done it, it's just so fucking obvious.
But
me.
you went, looking back, it probably seems a lot easier. You probably learned, there's probably so much that you learned that you can't even remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, well, once you do it, it's so easy to you now. And like, you look at other people like slaving in their job and wanting to, you're like, just, this is all you have to do, man. But they can't see it. It's only.
That's why I like people like Gary Vee that are very, I don't know, outspoken and motivational, but also, I mean, like because you say slaving at your job, it's kind of offensive, but
Yeah.
it's also just kind of like, it doesn't come from a place of rudeness, at least when I say stuff like that, and I assume not you either.
Yeah.
It's just because like you want people to be happier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some people, I'm not saying everybody has to be an entrepreneur. There's people, a lot of people that are completely happy being, employees, and they don't want to have to deal with any of the stress or.
Because it is a lot of stress, and some people do
Yeah.
like being an employee, and they're just fine
Yeah,
where
and
they
the
are.
world can't run on 100% entrepreneurs.
No, it wouldn't work at all.
So, I mean, like I say, it's just, I don't mean to be negative towards, I call them wage slaves or, it's just someone that's completely, what I see is someone that's completely miserable in their job. That's what I think of.
But refuses to do anything about it.
But gets themselves in a financial position where they're stuck and their life is complete misery for their whole lives. That's what I mean by, a corporate slave. But if you love that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being, having a job.
For sure, because it is kind of a pain in the ass trying to like build something.
Yeah.
and then try to make money on it and everything else. And many people try it a couple of times and it doesn't work out. They have to try multiple times for it to actually work. It's just an ongoing process that you basically never have to give up
It's just
on.
sickening when I see people on the hamster wheel of consumerism or, golden handcuffs or living not their best life. And, I wish I could snap them out of it, but.
For sure. So how did ATX Record Players then progress?
Yeah, then I quit my job, dove into it. And
when did you, okay, so yeah, you got it to where you had no debt and your expenses were really low. And so that's when you quit your job.
Low. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
As soon as I knew.
And you saved up some money when you're talking about runway?
Yeah.
Did you not even need much runway because your expenses were so low?
Exactly.
Okay.
I cut my expenses to extreme low. I had no debt, and my Airbnb spare room was paying my overhead, my living expenses. So I had infinite runway from there. And it's like, as long as I can eat dog food and be free, I was like, it's better than sitting in this cage all day. So that was the way I saw it. And like one day I was looking out the window in my cubicle and I was like, man used to like sail across oceans and shit, not knowing what's on the other side. And here I am just sitting here afraid to just walk out the door.
That is a great way to put it.
And I was just like, what am I doing? Like, even like I said, even if I eat dog food and I just wake up every day and change the sheets of my Airbnb and make the best fucking Airbnb I can, and I scrape by and my whole life is free to me again, it's like, that sounds a lot better.
Yeah, it's like, what am I so scared of?
Yeah. That sounds a lot better. I'd rather live that life and go swimming every day. Or I just ask myself, what do I want to do with my life? Like, if I want to go surf in Hawaii, go do it. If I want to go, travel the world, go do it. I can do it. I don't have a family or anything. I can do whatever I want. And I really just want to be an entrepreneur. Like, that's really what I wanted to do.
Well, because life is short, and I mean, yeah, you only get one.
Yeah.
And me personally, I don't want to wait till I'm 65 years old to go and do stuff that I can do now when I'm healthy. You know what I mean? And hopefully I'm healthy when I'm 65. But I mean, just the idea of waiting your entire life to, all right, you can enjoy your life now. Here's your retirement.
People need to realize all the conventional advice is just set up to be a huge scam, to use you as a, consumer and a worker, and save all your money to when you're almost dead, and then we'll take it all back. It's like,
and then we'll take it all back.
Yeah. We'll give you a reverse mortgage at the end, and thanks for playing. You came out with zero. So, but yeah, it's just, I quit my job, and, it's just, you think like, oh, I'm going to go fucking hustle, Gary Vee, hustle. But no, it's like, when you go into entrepreneurship, you have to be ready to be, there isn't much going on. You have to like wait for, to watch traffic come into your website. Like, there's a lot of waiting and not doing much, because if you just go try to crush it, you're just gonna be wasting money and time and energy and my opinion, over hustling and and just burning yourself out, and you just have to be super patient. And that's why I needed all that runway, just to be patient and not have to chase money. Because as soon as you start chasing money rather than providing value, which takes time and it's slow, and if you're just chasing the dollars, it's people can feel that, and it's not the way to. I always want to be in a position where you're never cash crunched and you got to make
decisions based on money solely.
Yeah, like quick cash decisions. So
makes sense.
That's the way I see it. And if there's one book, Millionaire Fastlane, it's like it's a dumb title and a dumb cover, but he breaks entrepreneurship down. MJ DeMarco like cuts it straight to the bitter, cuts all the bullshit out of it, and gives you, it's like, you want to be rich and enjoy your life. Well, you got like 10 options here. You can be a sports star, a musician, a politician. You have all these options. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be an athlete. I'm not going to be a musician. He's like, you can be an entrepreneur. And I was like, well, I think I can be an entrepreneur. He's like, here's how entrepreneurs make money. And it's like, you can build a brand. And I was like, I think that's my best shot, is building a brand. That's I think that's my only hope. So that's what I just stuck with. And I use that as my compass to navigate myself through entrepreneurship. And
I'm going to check out that book.
Yeah, it's good. It's and then the next one, Unscripted, he goes into the same kind of, how like Dave Ramsey and even Tony Robbins now, they're always like giving you, oh, this is what you should do to be successful. However, they're not doing that. Invest in your 401k and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wait. Is that how you made it, Dave Ramsey? No, you started a fucking podcast and you built an audience and then you made a shit ton of money.
And you sold stuff.
So why don't you telling that to people and how to make it, not invest in my fucking funds and my, cut your costs to wealth. And it's like, they're giving all the wrong advice and they're getting rich, giving the wrong advice to get rich. So that's the whole thing. You got to be careful of who you listen to for advice. So, but then I just, did one record player. I was doing one record player a month, making $500 on record players a month. And then, I just talked a bunch of shit about school, but then my school called me. They're like, hey, are you still doing that record player thing? I was like, yeah. And they're like, okay, KXAN wants to do a veteran entrepreneur. And I was like, okay. So then it came and boom, like right after I quit my job, I was on the news. And I was like, look at that. Right?
Dude, I know another guy that's really good at getting on the news. But he actually did it himself. You got a phone call, but that's still awesome.
Yeah.
So did that help? Did you see a surge after that?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I didn't know how internet traffic worked or audience. So I was like, what's going to happen? Will people go to my website afterwards, or will they call me, or, what will happen? And then, as soon as it hit, my phone started ringing and I had some calls, but they weren't very good leads. And I didn't really have a good lead generation process at that time. That's what I learned. Like, all the traffic came and then it all went away. And
you had no way of getting any of those leads. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know how to keep the leads, man. It just the eyeballs came and then they disappeared. And I was like, fuck, I got to learn how to keep my audience, Mm-hmm. So, that's how I started learning. Is you don't know that shit until it happens. There's no book on, what happens if you get on TV and then they go to your website and there's nothing for them to do. It's you just got to learn it. Trial by error and burning your own cash up on dumb ideas and being like, oh fuck, that was a dumb idea.
Speaking of dumb ideas, I bought tricycles when Pokemon Go was a thing, and I tried to rent them out, so people could ride them, because it's adult tricycles, and so you could have your phone mounted. So like you could just stop and like catch some Pokemon and then ride on, whereas but you could cover a lot of ground.
That's great. I love
no one
crazy
fucking
ideas.
rented them. I got some phone calls and people would come up and talk to us because I had a sign on them and I was like, oh, these are fucking cool. We're gonna call you. And then like 3 people called me and they never rented them.
Yeah, it's but like I love crazy ideas like that where you just give it a shot and you never know. Like when I tell people they need advice to be an entrepreneur, I'm like, take the fucking craziest idea you got, and then go find where those other crazy people are online and go put it in front of them. That's what I did. Record consoles weren't cool when I started. Like it was only like nerds had them.
Mm-hmm.
Like audio geeks would have them in their garages and old people had them in their garages.
Mm-hmm.
And like I would get them for free and then flip them for like thousands of dollars eventually. So,
but you do cool shit with them. I've seen pictures of them. They look great, and I'm assuming they sound great. I haven't heard one.
Yeah. And then, I just, does this speaker sound good? Does this turntable sound good? Does this amplifier sound good? I just kept experimenting until I got a good package put together, and then I'd invest a little bit more money on some nicer electronics and see if I could get a buyer for it and up me in my prices. And then after that, KXAN, I was like, fuck yeah, it's happening, man. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to DM Jesse James. And I DM'd him like, hey, I sent him a picture of me when I was a kid on this chopper bicycle I built. And I was like, hey, he inspired me as a kid. And, by the way, I found my niche in this weird niche in German record players. Just, appreciate the inspiration. And at first he was just like, cool. I was like, holy fuck, he said cool back.
I wouldn't even have expected him to reply.
I was like, holy shit, he said cool. I was like, look at everyone. He talked to me.
He talked to me.
And then I was like driving down the road a week later and I get a message from him. Hey man, I want one.
Shit.
I pull over. I'm like, holy shit. He wants one.
That's crazy.
And then, and then eventually, I delivered it. He talked to me and he was super cool. I was afraid, that never meet your idols or, you don't want to meet your idols or anything. And, but no, he's super cool. And he's like, oh, you should build your own brand. You should do this.
So wait, you responded to his message. You set up a meeting in person.
I was like, what do you want, man? I'll get you the best one. And he's like, I want Telefunken. So I found a really nice Telefunken. I fixed it up, I restored it. And then I was like, fuck, I gotta get Jesse like the best one of all time.
Were you worried did he pay in advance before you restored it? Or
No.
did you pay out of pocket for that?
No, I gave him the option. I was like, hey man, what do you want to do? He's like, how much are they? I was like, well, you can pay me cash $6,000 for one, or you can trade me a pistol for one, or you can trade me Instagram plugs for it. And he's like, okay, I'll give you some Instagram hype. And I was like, great. And that was the greatest decision I ever made,
Yeah.
That picture with me and him next to that record player,
I've seen it on
is
your website,
paying back thousands and thousands and thousands of street cred. My business is probably built on that picture, honestly. So,
you started it up and you were selling them, and then you, I don't know, made this long shot of messaging him, and it worked out. So
put yourself out there, man. Yeah.
So you decided to do that, and then when you met him in person, obviously because there's a picture, and that's when he was telling you need to build a brand and you need to.
When I delivered it to him, we just were talking, and he's like, "Dude, you got to build your own brand. I got a Rolodex that goes around the world. Here's my woodworker. Go get a custom one built with my woodworker." And then I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah. What are you saying?" Yeah. This is like, like I said, he's like Michael Jordan in my mind. So him talking to me, and I'm like having flashbacks from my kid, like dreaming about this happening, and I was just like starstruck and trying not to say anything stupid. And You know,
Mhm.
it's like the greatest day of my life. And then, yeah, so then I did exactly what he said. Got his woodworker, you know, fronted a ton of money, you know, be an entrepreneur. And I just he's like a millionaire. I just gave him like a $10,000 record player.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, but that's how you earn your stripes, man. If you want to get involved with the next level people, you got to give them any value you can. If you want to get anything, you got to give to people up the ladder. And that's the
Mhm.
only way you earn your stripes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And and I even called like Macintosh Laboratories and I was like, hey, I got this thing going on with Jesse James. Hook me up with a badass ass amp you got. And they're like, okay. And I was like, holy shit, Jesse just opened that door up to Macintosh with me. And they sent me a $3,000 amp to put on it. And then I got in with the best audio company in the world. It was hooking me up with free shit already. And I was like, damn, that's how you do it.
That's awesome.
And then, yeah, so then I took what money I had, I invested in this long shot to build this really high-end custom one, not knowing if anything would come along. And boom, I pitched it to a customer, a high-end, another customer I had with a lot of money. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm interested in that. And boom, then I sold a $27,000 record player. And I was like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
Beyond. And if Jesse went to open that barrier in my mind, you know, and I probably would have stagnated for a lot longer. You know?
Mhm.
So it's just, you know, another lesson in your self-limiting beliefs, and like someone more successful than you or that you respect can just poop, open that up for you. You know, anybody else, if my nephew would have told me, hey, you just sell one for more money, I'd been like, yeah, whatever, kid. You know, would have taken, but someone higher than you, and you're like, oh, you know, you'll take it. It'll open your mind up.
I know what you're saying. It is. We all have a lot of self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
That's one big part of the problem. But
yeah. And it's a hard thing to realize, or only in retrospect you kind of see it. But
hey, FIA listeners, just before this episode is over, I want to give you one more quick friendly reminder to please like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. Thanks again.
So then my mind opened up more and I got more ambitious. And if I was like, well, Jesse thinks this is cool. Like before Jesse, I just thought I was a huge idiot, like nerd, weirdo. And so I was just a little bit self-conscious about, like I said, all my peers were going to Goldman Sachs and shit. And I just quit to
make record players.
Deal junk out of my living room. Yeah. So that's where I was at mentally. And so he opened up my mind, and then we stayed in contact, and I tried to never ask anything from him. I'm assuming guys like that have people asking him for shit. Gimme all the time.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be really self-conscious and aware about that. I'd almost like try really hard not to ask anything.
Yeah, so I try never to ask. I always am like, you know, check this out, what's going on? You know, look at your idea coming to fruition, or you know, it make people feel good. Like, oh, look at this kid's following my advice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And or then my customer he's like, I was like, you should buy a Jesse James pistol to put in that record console. So then I actually made him a sale, and then I was like, hey man, my customer wants to buy a pistol from you. So then I made a sale for him, and I was like, here's a sale.
Nice.
And so then I think that might have you know, opened up his mind a little bit, that I was, you know, thinking in that direction. And then probably a year later, you know, it stuck in my mind. He was like, hey, I have a Rolodex that goes around the world. Let me know if you need anyone. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I just don't want my one chance to use that Rolodex. I want the whole fucking thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I was like, what do I really need? I'm like, Craigslist is shit. Etsy is for like grandmas with knitting sweaters and shit. And eBay is like the garage sale of the internet. You know, where do I go to sell really nice products at? There isn't anything to do that. And so one day I pitched him, I texted him, sometimes you get super nervous, you know, like, fuck, he's probably just going to laugh at me or say, yeah, okay, kid, you know, good luck on that. That's what I was expecting. And then say, hey, I got this idea. We should build our own exchange. He's like, I'd invest in that. And I was like, really? If you're serious, I'll pitch it to you. He's like, yeah, come on out and pitch it to me. So I pitched it to him, and he's like, all right, I'll partner with you. I was like, really? What do you want me? What do we do? And so yeah, then the first year we just kind of kicked the idea around and you know, went back and forth, built a little trust that I'm not gonna be a wacko or, you know, try to, you know, I'm sure he's got people trying to infiltrate his life and shit all the time and stuff, and, you know, feel each other out and work on the idea and get the website. I just built a shitty website. That's the best I could do. And then, yeah, we recruited some guys to sell some products in the Craftsman Exchange. You know, we came up with the name for it, and then yeah, and then slowly sold my record player, and then I sold a knife, a $10,000 knife, and then, you know, just dealing in those high-end products that, you know, craftsmen just have to sell it on their own. And craftsmen aren't really sales or marketing guys. They just want to build cool shit, you know, and then get the hype and the attention they love. So I just want to build something that gives them what they want, you know. The customers get what they want. They get recognition and get an heirloom and, you know, a collector's piece, an asset, and the craftsmen get what they want. They just get to focus on what they love. And I get to focus on what I love, which is just dealing and selling and marketing. And Jesse mentors me now. We had a meeting the other day, and he's, you know, I have my vision, but his perspective is so much on another level, you know, that he can just, you know, he just sees it now. He's been doing it for 30 years, you know. So, and he mentors me and guides me, and it's amazing. So.
Dude, that's great to have that relationship with someone that's in that position and that is, you know, willing to give you some advice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest part, you know, and you see how wisdom, you know, you got to earn your stripes to get into that wisdom of how it really works. And that's what I really love. Like, if there's anything, I just like getting to that next perspective, or that next epiphany, and then you see the world differently. Like, there's anything I love about life, it's just having a new perspective or a new epiphany, and you move to the next paradigm and you see it all differently. You see the matrix, you start seeing the ones and zeros in the matrix, and you can learn to manipulate it, you know, or not manipulate it, but you can see how you can create your own reality, if that sounds too trippy. But
I mean, that's part of the appeal of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And that's the spiritual side of doing it, you know. And then people start gravitating towards you, and they start hopping on board, and then it starts to grow, and you know, you become, you know, you can just create hopefully better things and make the world a better place, you know, honestly. But I just love dealing in high-end products, and I like the, you know, the excitement. Like, what I'm addicted to now is like when I send the email and the calls start coming in, and, you know, you're trying to make the deal and the pressure's on, everybody's watching, and you know, that's the rush I get. Some people like to jump off cliffs and stuff. I just like making the sale.
Sales are important.
Yeah.
So the vision for Craftsman Exchange is I mean, you're already doing it now, but are you really trying to turn it into this big platform of high-end products?
Yeah.
That like other people would use, or is just for your company, or
what
just
do you
for?
mean?
So Craftsman Exchange, like, would you let other people put products on there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
It's not just for. I mean, you already kind of are. You're sourcing these other craftsmen. That's right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's going to be exclusive. So, you know, we don't let every grandma knitting a sweater on it like Etsy, you know.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like an open platform that people sign up for.
Invite only,
Yeah.
and we want the tip of the spear to start, you know. We want the best guys, and where it goes from there, I don't know. But once we get the best guys and a good, the customers trust that we're not going to like steal their money, and having a new brand where you're transacting $50,000, goods, it's build a little trust first, and the craftsman trust that, hey, they're gonna have a good market to sell in. It takes a little time, but
So you're still making record players and put them on Craftsman?
yeah.
And you probably still get calls from ATX Record Players as well?
Yeah, I mean that's still my company.
Mm-hmm.
Still dealing in restorations. That's still my main business, is restoring German record consoles and putting new audio in them. And now we recruited 5 of the best furniture makers around Austin to start producing custom record consoles for me that fit audio equipment perfectly inside of it. And then, then I'll take their products and sell it on the Craftsman Exchange. And even if I have to start funding projects to sell on the exchange just to prove the concept, that's where I'm starting. But hopefully it'll start to come off, and the craftsman will realize, that, hey, I can go out and build something amazing, and I don't have to be scared of what I'm going to do. I spend 3 months building something. I got to sell that shit. Otherwise I'm going to go bankrupt. That's what the craftsmen are afraid of, so that's, and also just boost their brands, get that auction hype going so they can get top dollar, and then their prices start raising. And in this world, in the heirloom world, your customer wants to spend more money on it. Like, it means more to them if they spend more money on it. You just gotta remove those barriers of why they should. Like, why in New York can they buy $1 million painting, $10 million painting? I mean, it's a fucking painting. It really is no value to it. But how do you get that value?
Perception.
And make it so the real best craftsmen get the limelight and get the recognition they deserve. Because I love building shit, and I appreciate craftsmen like artists, but I just don't feel like they get they don't get the sales like they do in New York for a painter. Like, how do we?
You're right. I can see that there would be something untapped there, because those people aren't going to be, like you said, those people aren't going to be the best marketers or salespeople because it's not their passion.
Yep. Yeah. So we can just leverage Jesse's like one of the best craftsmen, one of the best, has a huge audience, famous craftsman of our time. So to get him straight off on the board, that's huge.
Yeah, man.
So
you should get him on the podcast.
Yeah. I know you got experience in auctions, so we should we should talk.
For sure. Thanks, Shea. Your story's really crazy. I love how, I'm into entrepreneurship too. So to me, it's really refreshing meeting other people that are really like go hard and that are willing to say things like college is a scam, wage slaves. But it's not about being mean though. It's just like, for me, I want people to do what's best for them and be happy. And some people, I know they're not happy in the corporate world, but I know that they won't leave it because they're afraid of this or that. And the longer the time goes on, the more that you get into those golden handcuffs and you get more into debt. If you have kids, that people see that as a barrier. Although I know entrepreneurs that have kids, and there's many entrepreneurs that have kids and apparently they, can still run their company just fine and hopefully are still good family men. But I just appreciate your hustle and appreciate your story. And I'm really interested to see how things progress with you, and hopefully we can keep in touch.
Yeah, man, this is great. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.